Horsfeld joins us ahead of his first involvement in the Anzac Day MCG blockbuster, a game his Bombers absolutely can win. And in the furious debate over replays, extra time and golden points, NRL icon Cam Smith is with us to debate the best way to break a tie. I'm Gerard Whateley, he's Mark Robinson. This Wednesday night, it's footy from all angles. Hello, Robbo.
Hello, Gerard.
King, McClure, Bomber as well.
Smith.
Yeah.
Don't ever forget one of the greatest rugby league players in the history of the game. You sitting here again?
He will. He'll be with you.
I get a bit giddy when I'm around. Yeah. I do. I don't know why. I don't get giddy around you. I get giddy around Cameron Smith.
John Worsfold has brought with him from Essendon a double pass to Monday, which includes brunch at Crown Palladium and then reserved seats at the game valued at $600.
He's giving it to us too.
No, we're going to give it away.
Right. That was just a bit of a gag.
Yes.
$600, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
day,
so your favourite Anzac Day footy moment? Hashtag AFL 360.
Have you got one?
Well, Zaharakis immediately comes to mind, always. But there was one in the early 2000s. It was a woefully wet day, and Nathan Buckley had a shot at goal late in the last quarter, and with the rain visibly pouring down, and he finished up sort of celebrating like
great
that,
image.
And it hit the post.
It was a great image. I've seen that photo.
But the ball hit the post.
Yeah. There's been a lot of great games, hasn't there?
Yep.
Ask me what I love.
What do you... Yes. Did you split them or did you go the double header for your Wednesday love?
I couldn't split them.
Yep.
Jack Viney and Rory Sloane.
Yes.
They're the two peas in the pod. There's Rory. This is going. Look at this. Look at Jack. Just the tenacity. He's got run into... There's Rory again. I'm just going to say Rory
and
Jack. If you were playing... If you don't barrack for either of these teams, when you watch these two teams play, you say to yourself, God, I wish they were on my team. Mm-hmm. Sloane was enormous on Saturday night, and Jack Viney, in my opinion, was the best player on the ground in a game at the MCG against Collingwood. He's developed so many different aspects of his game now. Jack Viney, he's running, carrying it away from the stoppages, which is really good. And this guy, in probably the most brutal game of football I've seen for some time, was the King.
Yep.
He's an amazing player, Rory Sloane.
That's Rory the first. A couple of weeks ago. We must try to have Jack on, I reckon.
I'd love to get Jack on.
Yep.
How's that? That's the first time we've had dual love.
Dual love.
What do you love?
I always think it's fantastic when the internationals pick up a bit of Aussie rules, and Stephen May gave the Americans the perfect entree on highly questionable.
Do you question if Aussie football looks fun?
Aussie football is a sport I only know really for its stereotypical brutality, and I will imagine that we are going to get a taste of that here.
He had Robinson right there with him, and he keeps going.
It looked like fun right until there. It looked like great fun, like you're just chasing the ball around, it's bouncing, and then that guy is totally prone, and everyone's just running by him like it's the most normal thing in the world.
We always say, like, if you want to make football safer, just take away the helmets. That clip makes me reconsider the wisdom of that proposition.
They think it's brutal. Imagine if they saw it, I'll go back to it, the 1980s.
Oh, yeah.
Or the 70s. They think our game's brutal today. Gee.
And there are people who think we're an unlikely panel.
Who says that? Your wife? Does she?
Sometimes, Robbo, sometimes.
Did your wife ask you about the way you giggled with Patrick Dangerfield?
I'm not sure that she's seen that yet.
Doesn't she watch on TV?
Sometimes.
That's a bit weird. Anyway, I promise I won't play it again.
Okay.
I promise.
We've had enough fun with that.
Yes, we have.
Let's get into the agenda, and at the top, Port Adelaide, who are tonight on the training track at Alberton, working through a difficult week of their own making. They've hidden from nothing. Ken Hinkley has fulfilled all his regular and even more media commitments than that, and he's answered every question in his typically forthright way. But the only answers for Port that are worth anything will come on the field on Saturday night.
Catastrophe for Port Adelaide.
There's absolutely no evidence to date that they're a side contending for the 8.
We need to keep fighting, and I know this group will work hard. It may not happen overnight, but we're going to keep fighting, and that's what we've been able to do over the last few years, and we're going to keep doing that.
They stink, Gerard, they stink.
It comes back to the senior blokes. to show up and front up and really lead the way for the younger players.
And that starts with me. We need a huge effort from our senior players and our core leaders, and the rest of the group flows from that. And you can't go blaming young guys that have come inside 1 or 2 years in. They've got to have direction from their senior players, and we need to make sure we stand up. There needs to be a certain standard that we need to accept, and right now it's been too inconsistent. My form's nowhere near where it needs to be, and I need to accept that my form is not at the level it needs to be, and it starts with me and the rest of the leadership group. And if we start to get back to where we need to be, then the rest of the group will follow from there.
Travis Boak fronting up as well, and all the plaudits of a couple of years ago are all the questions that hover over the coaches, the leaders, the players.
Yeah, they do. Good, well done for Travis Boak, and he spoke really well. I'm starting to worry that Port are doing a lot of talking, and they're not doing a lot of actions. Now, this goes to your premise, I think, last night. They're not living up to their mantra of never giving in. We know that. I know they have to talk. I know that. But the best thing they can do is get out and actually live to that mantra and actually back up the words that they're talking at the moment.
Yeah, they own their problems. Now the question is, can they solve their problems?
They own their problems. They acknowledge their problems. Boak was such a great player, and I'm not undermining anyone else by using the word great. He was a great player, so much so that the Cats went over there and tried and get him. He was a gun. He was an inspiring leader. That inspirational aspect of Travis Boak is not there this year.
Yep.
Now, from afar, we can only guess. Is he playing the same role? As they try to turn Boak into a bit of an outside player? Because he's really skilled. But I know Travis Boak is a guy who's chasing the ball on the ground, going through, not running through players, but going through legs and bumping bodies and getting the ball and getting it out. That's the Travis Boak that I know. And when you're out of form, I think you just say, right, go back to what you did. Hunt the ball. Because when he hunts the ball, others come into it because he'll win it and he'll get it out and things can move. But last weekend was a car crash last weekend.
Yeah, pages and pages of analysis in the Adelaide Advertiser. Kane Corn's piece makes for really interesting reading because he knows the personality so well. He knows the planning. He thought the weekend demonstrated that some players don't believe in the current defensive structure or aren't working hard enough to play their role. And of the midfield, he said it was made to look slow, jumpy, disorganised and undisciplined.
That's code red criticism,
yeah,
to borrow a word we were using last night. Jumpy, they don't want it. Slow.
Disorganised.
Having a go at everyone.
Undisciplined.
Not caring. Just people playing to their own rules. I mean, that description, that is a team in turmoil. So how do you get that back? A lot of clubs go through it,
yep,
don't they? So we said to Bucks the other night.
And the rider is, they are 2-2. That's the rider. That's why their 2 losses have been shocking.
They have. And we asked the coaches Monday night, it's how you lose sometimes. It's how you lose a lot of times. If the perception is that you've just laid down and it's got too hard for them, that's really bad. When the coach comes out and says, we're embarrassing and we didn't look like, I think he said this, we looked like we didn't try, that's horrendous. They had a big week last week building up.
Yep.
So how do you go back to that well? As a coach, right? As a coach, you've gone to the well to talk about the build-up to the GWS game after the poor performance in the showdown. That didn't work. So what do you do as coach this week? I mean, I don't know the answer.
No. So
Ken Hinkley would have been wondering as well.
Platform, and then the platform totally collapsed the next time out.
So, again, one of the arts of coaching is to find a way to trigger these players. That didn't work last week.
Nope.
We'll find out after the game what they did.
Yep, we'll know a lot about them after this weekend as well. There isn't another day on the calendar, the footy calendar, quite like the Anzac Day blockbuster at the MCG. It has been a tradition that's been in the custody of Collingwood and Essendon for some time now. It is cherished and respected, and for the first time, John Worsfold will be a central part of it as the coach of the Bombers.
It's good for a younger group to experience that kind of feeling. It's going to be
a pretty special day with Anzac Day and remembering those who fought.
You get to learn a little bit more about the history and how lucky we are to play in the day and to live in the country we do.
And that's the Essendon jumper that will be sported on Monday. John Worsfold, the Bombers coach, welcome to AFL 360 again.
Thanks, Jared.
What do you know of Anzac Day clashes between Collingwood and Essendon across 20 years?
Yeah, not a lot. I've been to one over all my time in football because I've been otherwise occupied at other games. So last year I was over and I went to my first Anzac clash, and it was I can't even remember the result. But I remember the day. It was brilliant to be part of the whole day. Walking up through the shrine on the way to the ground and acknowledging all the people marching through, but then getting to the game and showing respect for the cavalcade around the ground. And so the game was great, but yeah, it was more significant everything else around it.
So what approach have you decided to take in embracing the history and the occasion and then the pragmatic side of preparing for a football match? What's your blend?
Yeah, well, obviously preparation for the game is what we're all about. It's what we do. But we all, as a footy department, attended the shrine yesterday. So the players, to get their training done in order to be at the shrine by 10 a.m, they had to start at 6 a.m. at the club. So around dawn, it was nice to see the sun come up as they were training.
Anyone late?
No one late,
Thank God.
All bright-eyed, and so we did that, and we attended the shrine. We had Jack Jones, one of our own, address the players, which was awesome. So that was all part of it, but I'd also asked the players to do some research on a soldier, choose one, just find someone and have a bit of a read about their story, and also a little bit about any of the armed forces and what their motto is and what they stand for. So they've been allowed to spend as much or as little time as they want in their own time just researching those things.
It's funny, Anzac Day, because often everyone gets caught up in footy, John, and they say, and the diggers and that the war and sport is separate. But you can't, I would imagine, as coach, ignore the principles of representing Australia and fighting and dying and looking after your friend. You can't ignore them on such a day. Is that a fair comment or not?
Yeah, look, we've looked at some stuff around what soldiers do, and they go away as a team. But in a lot of these conflicts, especially in First World War, they were brought together, strangers thrown together 6 weeks out of fighting, untrained. So they had to go away and pretty quickly get to know each other and earn a lot of respect and trust in each other. And, there is some similarities to our current Essendon squad. We came together at short notice prior to the season starting, and it has been about getting to know each other and respect, and we have to do that ongoing. Yeah. So even while we're playing, we're still learning about each other. So it's new for me to be in that situation, but it's exciting in its own way.
When the team was put together, I don't know what you envisaged. You hope that what you're saying and doing and the department's guiding, that they respond. Has the response surprised you in a little way, the ability together, that spirit that you need as a team to go out and play. I mean, that Geelong game last week, I reckon at three-quarter time you'd be thinking, we're getting tired here, but we're right in this game. Did you envisage that could happen so early in the season?
Look, I suppose I'm not surprised by it, but I'm pleased, absolutely pleased, that the players have decided on the way they want to go about this season together, put some things in place, and really I'm guiding them in helping them achieve those things without demanding that that's what I think they should do. And they're all embracing it, and they are holding each other accountable to it. They give each other feedback on how we're going, and one of the big things about this year for us is that with all the challenges we'll face, we're going to enjoy the challenges and have fun attacking them. And when we front up at training, we get there in good spirit and ready to train well and improve.
It's really interesting, that ownership that you give to the players. Generally in football, premiership teams come out and coaches come out and basically say, you know what, they did it. They're the leaders. They drove the standards. They lived to the standards, and they won the premiership. Anyone could have coached them. Some coaches say that. Yep. When you've got a young team like that and you say, no, they are doing it. I'm only helping. They are doing it. I mean, is that something that you plan going in, or something that you recognise within the group? Hang on, now they've got the leaders to do this, and I'll just help them.
It's a bit of both. It's a bit about looking at what the makeup of your squad is, but asking them if really I ask them what they want to achieve throughout the year. What are we aiming to? What do we want people to talk about? The 2016 Essendon team of players.
What was the big answers? What was the
well, there's a few big parts of it. One is really enjoy the learning environment, and part of that is. We've got, which is, I think, unique again for any club, we've got players that have recently come out of the Geelong system and structure. We've got players that have come out of the Hawthorn system and structure, and Fremantle's and Sydney's. So that's pretty exciting. Not many clubs have that many players that have come from those clubs, the top 4 or 5 clubs over the last 7, 8 or 9 years, all together, fresh. That's a great learning environment for us. So that's one thing that we enjoy, that learning environment, which is learning from starting from scratch.
They're like another level of assistant coaches for you, are they?
They've been outstanding, yeah, and they're really keen to share their knowledge with the players, and they are having an impact. So that's been wonderful. So that's a big part of it. The other part is obviously around competing. And competing throughout entire games and throughout the entire season.
And believing that they can win. And they must now have a bit of evidence to go. And this wasn't a given coming into the season. They would have enough evidence, would they not, to go out on Monday and have a genuine belief that they can win?
Absolutely, yeah. They deserve to have that belief because of the hard work they're putting in. And
they've earned it.
They have, yeah. And they were disappointed that they couldn't run the game out and at least, if not win, be right there at the end. And we couldn't quite hold on. So we're aiming to be better than that again, and we're looking for a win.
Ballsy coaching, John, when halfway through the third quarter, I think it was, you threw in the kids, and they're up against Selwood, Dangerfield, I think for one centre square, Selwood, Dangerfield, and I can't remember the third one. And it was commented on that, look at this, it's like, righto boys, you're men now, you're going to learn. You make that decision. You'd know that those kids are in there. What's your thinking behind that?
Well, we've picked them to play a role, and we want to challenge them to step out into those roles. So when we played in Shepparton against a pretty strong Geelong team, we took a very young team there, and we gave Kyle Langford the opportunity to play the full game on Patrick Dangerfield. You don't get those opportunities too often, and again, that's part of that learning environment. And he learnt so much. He was so excited, even though Dangerfield was best on ground. He learned a lot from it, and he got the opportunity in small stints again on the weekend to match up again. You think he was more confident that he could at least? He knew what Dangerfield was like. No, he knew how good Dangerfield was, but he also knew, like, if I have a go, I can at least do my best out there. And yeah, there was a centre bounce early in the game, maybe in the first or second quarter, where we had Laverty, Langford and Parrish in there. which was exciting.
They won a couple of clearances.
I think Laverty might have cleared one, and that's exciting. And we know that they're not going to win all of them, but they're going to learn a lot, and they're going to have a go.
So separate to that and the other group of players, as Travis Collier has tonight signed with the club for the next 3 years. Is that significant to you?
Yeah, it's a wonderful result. Yeah. I haven't had much to do in terms of talking about recontracting those players with the players directly, but I keep in contact and let them know, what's happening around the club in terms of what I'm expecting from the team and what we're aiming to achieve. So, Trav has been pretty rocked by everything, but he's rebuilding his confidence to say, I want to be part of this, and it is very significant for us.
Are you hoping that knocks on and on and on and on and on through the 12?
Yeah, look, I'm not relying on one player to sign to entice the others to sign. I want them all to sign in their own right because they want to, and they want to be at Essendon next year. So, but I'm really confident in the program we're putting forward, and that the guys that want to be part of it next year will be part of something that they'll enjoy, and they'll feel like we're making big inroads into becoming a powerful team.
It's good to have you with us again, John, and the very best of luck for Monday. Enjoy the occasion.
Thanks very much, guys.
John Worsfold, the Essendon coach, with us on AFL 360. Up next, McClure and King to have a look at things the way they are after 4 rounds of footy.
Tempted by the vacant square, he was. The temptation was great. Eddie Betts! Who else but Eddie?
Smith was in the right spot. Eddie just used his body well and got the goal. It was a bit of a shove from that angle.
Douglas for Adelaide through the middle. Sends them deep. Not to his team's advantage initially, it looks like, but Eddie's there. But Eddie's there. But Eddie's there! Oh, Eddie Betts. That was football genius.
Walker in the contest, Kennedy at ground level, couldn't gather, pressure from side, Walker, they got one out the back, off to Eddie Betts, he'll run in, and steal it for the Crows. Betts has 4.
At the front of the pack is Sloane, couldn't take it, Kennedy's there, they need to be clean, Walker picked it, Adelaide are home, Betts is all by himself, Taylor Walker picked it up, he passed it to Eddie Betts, he runs into an open goal, and that's game set match.
Eddie and the Crows who come to Friday night footy. Mark McClure, welcome.
Hey, Jared.
David King, hello.
Hello, boys.
Hello, Sellers.
Sellers has been with the Crows for a few weeks now, and you'll like what you've seen as well.
Oh, they were great on Saturday night. Yeah, fantastic. First, I'd seen them in round 1 against the Kangaroos, and I wasn't in love with them that night. They did some good things, but they broke late. I think that the Kangaroos really opened them up in that last probably 40 minutes, and they kicked 10 goals to 4. But they've won in different ways, and they're a fascinating watch, and I think that's a good thing. In round 2, they were powerful out of the back line. I think they'd kicked 10 goals from the defensive 50. We haven't seen that since 2008. That's a big tick. You don't want to be just scoring that way because it's a hard way to win. Then they put the press on against Richmond in round 3, and they were terrific. 10 goals from forward half, so that's a complete opposite. And then they were just tough. They out-toughed Sydney Swans, who have been the best clearance team for years, let's be honest. And they have been the first 3 weeks. I think they were plus 15 goals out of clearances, and they won a block between the late in the first quarter, late in the second quarter, 16 of 18, and that's a mauling. And it was just a fantastic game, but they come through with flying colours.
And the coach is who we're sort of all getting our first look at in the senior job.
Yeah, I think he's terrific. I mean, there's no doubt that he's changed the club slightly. He's a coach that's been around previous, and he set a little precedent for what may be the future of coaching. When you think about it, there's a few blokes who've had a go. Watson, that's Tim Watson, Foss, Hurd, Buckley, all great players, but no one actually can say that they've actually done a great job yet with their football club. This bloke's come straight in. He's had a job before. He's actually had a business. He ran it. He coached at Claremont. He's had a background in business and people, working with people, and it makes a difference, and you can see it straight away. They are a top 4 lock-in, I reckon, for mine.
Lock-in?
Yes.
Okay.
Top 4 lock-in.
What are they doing, Kingy? I haven't asked this question. What are they doing differently or better than last year because they were pretty good last year.
Yep.
They got the second week of the final, great game at the MCG. They moved the ball pretty well. I don't know if they're moving it quicker. I don't know. They've got more depth. With Dangerfield gone, have they found more players?
Yeah, everyone talks about...
It's not Dangerfield.
Dangerfield, I thought, would cost them 3 wins across the course. And that may still be the case.
Yeah.
They may be a 16-win team that finished with 13 or 14. Look, I think that their half-back line is brilliant. Laird, Atkins... Atkins? I keep saying.
Yeah,
Smith. Brody Smith's already an All-Australian. They've got what the modern game requires.
Yep.
It's counter-punch, it's damage, it's precision, and it's speed. They've got all those things, and their forwards are able to get goal side and kick some pretty handy scores.
And what they do is they lock the opposition in, really tighten their forward line. They will not let you out. Yeah. That's where the defence starts, right up there.
A couple of love affairs in footy, sellers.
Is it?
Have a look at this one.
Going to the well.
I don't know if you've seen this before, but Jared's
pretty happy, doesn't
he's
he?
infatuated with Paddy, and Paddy's pretty keen on Jared.
Yeah,
And look at, I don't know what he said. Look at Jared. He's like blushing. He's blushing. Anyway, but there's a second love affair.
A few
Oh, David, Ross.
Just told a couple of gags. Maybe you should.
But you've actually Don Pike's taken over. Hasn't Don Pike taken over your man?
What do you mean?
Don't you fall in love with Don Pike?
No, I like Ross. I think Ross is good. Is this the best you've got?
It wasn't mine, but I'm laughing.
The best you've got. No, he was fantastic. He was fantastic.
He was.
And I'll tell you what, at 0-4, there's a lot of coaches in our comp that would not have sat down with us. And I tell you...
Every one of them.
He stuck to his word. We gave him the option, and he said, no, we committed this at the start of the year. So that's another reason why I love him.
You don't take gags well, do you, when you're involved?
Was that a gag?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
That was good.
Did you like it?
Did you ask him? Because Johnny Worsfold's living in David Hale's house at the moment. Whether he'll be back pretty soon, David Hale.
That's rough. Hey, just before we leave Friday night, Hawthorn, I know you're working on a bit of a thesis for the Herald Sun on Friday.
I am. I'm just having a look at the Hawks. I think that, they've been the best for a long time, and just looking at where they sit in terms of offence and defence, they haven't been the best team the last couple of weeks by the coach's own admission. I just think they're a watch. I think they're a sensational football club, and you'd never write them off. You'd never say anything negative about them, but they're just a watch at the moment. A few of the numbers tell you that there's a bit slipped. So for me, they're on the radar over the next couple of weeks.
Okay, we'll see how that shakes out.
Motivation. It's hard to judge motivation.
No doubt about that. Sammy Mitchell's not there last week. They get flogged. He wins the game.
You were down there, weren't you?
Yeah.
Port Adelaide, we started the show with.
Yep.
Is the David Koch tweet took your attention from the sense of you've been in a football club and seen...
Yeah. I just think that as soon as someone in that position separates themselves from the club and separates the club itself, the marketing department's doing this, what's the footy department doing? Why aren't you backing us up? Why aren't you delivering on your end of the bargain? I don't like it. I just think that... footy clubs, they're businesses per se, but they're different sorts of businesses. You're all in it together. You win and lose together. You don't separate yourself. Koch shouldn't be saying it's a disgrace. He should be saying, yep, we're not happy with it. Let me talk to my troops. Come back to you. I don't think you label the people that are going to the coalface for you a disgrace at any stage, not from that position.
Okay.
Does he send a message, though?
Do you reckon the players would listen to that?
No, not at all. But Kenny Hinkley might.
Some of the players shortly, but just you've played in an extra time final, David. So
we're going again.
It would just.
I still reckon it was a good
Is this another gag?
Is it a gag?
No. I have. Yeah. This is my first year, Jared. Very nervous.
Now, notwithstanding that it went 3-5 to nothing from there, and your team won by 23 points. Just bless you for giving us the first.
Just have a look at Dennis. Just have a look at Dennis. How's he going, Dennis Herigan? How do you think Monday went for me?
No good.
I still feel like it was going to go through every time I see that.
So, is it a satisfactory way to separate a tie, given that you lived through it?
Well, we did 5 minutes each way that day. You need a result. You can't be coming back the next week. Not if you're going to have a national competition. I think you have to finish with a goal. It's not going to happen, Jared. Let's be honest. It's probably not going to happen for 50 years. But the time it does, I don't want to see someone rush a point through. And there's our highlight. It goes around the world. This is how they won the grand final. someone fumbling the ball over the line.
Yeah. Barry Breen's wonky old behind holds up okay.
Yeah. But
Well,
it wasn't
and
extra
that
time.
that
It wasn't
decided a
extra
grand
time.
final.
No, it wasn't extra time, Jared. It was different, completely different.
You know Cowboy Neil kicked 5 goals that day, don't you?
No, nobody knows anything except Barry Breen kicked it behind.
He's so
it
angry.
Has endured.
Cowboy's so angry.
It has endured. I don't want to... Paddy McCartan.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Number 1 draft pick. You saw him down in Launceston.
Yeah.
He had moments that makes you think this is going to work.
I think the whole St Kilda side had moments. I reckon they've drafted really well. This kid's a good pick. He's got some flight about him. He can play. He kicked a goal there, and he took a ripping mark that really let me know that was a good one. But he did a better one than that coming up in the second, where he actually flew over a pack in the last quarter. And that's what we want to see him do. I want to see him hit more contests. I want to see him actually crash a few packs. That's the one. That's a ripper mark. You know,
massive.
Young man, high, six deep, and goes bang and grabs one. And St Kilda supporters will go, wow. How good's this kid going to be? Well, he's going to be okay in a while, but he needs to do a little bit more fitness work to get to more contests, to work more, and then they'll know the smalls that they've got in there, the Billings and Loney and Stevens and Ross and Mannington and all those guys, Mitchington and all those sort of guys can get to where Paddy McCartan is. It's an easy get to, and then they'll be a lot better side because their smalls are good, real good.
Absolutely true to their word that Revolt's out of that way, and McCartan and Bruce are owning it. The other number 1 draft pick who's having more than moments is Whitfield's made the breakthrough.
He has, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's 55 games. He's 21 years of age, and you can see it.
We used to give these kids 50 games. Lance Franklin come on the scene and went bang. Wiedering's come on the scene and gone bang. And they've ruined it for these guys that need a little bit more time. He is a gut runner. He goes coast to coast when he runs. There's no short steps taken. He's an elite ball user, we know that. We know what he can do when he's got the footy. But this sort of thing here, just charging, really doesn't know whether he's going to get that ball.
It's from the back flank.
Come from the back flank. He's run 100 metres and most of his running is unrewarded. But it opens up holes for his teammates. It creates overlap. It puts the fear of God into the defence that are standing there thinking, who's got this guy? And I just think he's taken huge steps off a great pre-season. He was one of the standouts after their pre-season, and he's been well rewarded for it.
So the past 8 number 1 picks, Watts has played 119 games and he's in the best patch of his career. Scully is long-term established at 107 games. Swallow hasn't had much of a run at it, 79 games, but we know Patton 35, Whitfield 55 is a star, Boyd 27 is growing into it. McCartan's played 9 and showing glimpses, and Wiedering after 4 games has rolled gold. The Fox Premiership predictor, which we will. So you said 4 games was a sample size.
Yeah.
So show us what it looked like at the end of last year.
Yep. We'll have a look at it from last year, and you can see the top left-hand quadrant kicking over 100 points with your offence and defensively keeping the opposition to under 86. That's the top left-hand area there. There's only 2 teams in that, and they played in the grand final. The bottom left section is being competent defensively, but not getting enough scoring going. They basically round out the top 8. Bottom right, missed the top 8.
Yeah, you know
work to do. Not good enough defensively, not good enough with your offence.
So it's a bit paintball after 4 rounds.
So you can see that is the map. It's been that way for 15 years. 15 of the last 16 flag winners have come from the top left-hand quadrant. It doesn't lie. But have a look at that. Have a look where the teams are this year. You can see, first of all, that there's a big lift. Everyone's trying to score and everyone's scoring more. But we've got a couple in the top right that are scoring well. The Adelaide Crows and the Kangaroos. Port just touching on the 100-point line there that are not quite good enough defensively, but they're super aggressive, and we love that. The sides that are in it, pretty much the left of that red line, if you take out GWS, left of that red line, the horizontal, the vertical red line, if you take GWS out of it, there's your 8. Okay. So it doesn't lie.
So
they'll get there, GWS. They'll get there.
After 8 rounds, which is your sample size, we'll pop that up again and see.
Well, it'll be interesting to put a cover over it and see what happens. You know. So, but you have a look at the right-hand side and the bottom right. They're not going anywhere. They're not going to make it. Most of those.
So your sample size is set then?
No. It's just not quite set because GWS is not in. They're 9th at the moment, but they're not in.
They're going to make it or not?
Point or something, eh?
David
I'm just asking.
I don't know.
Retreat to neutral corners. The Bomber Diary is coming up next. It's a special edition.
Work on your gags, Robbo.
No gags. He doesn't want gags.
Ross into the Bomber Diaries.
He doesn't.
Make him funny.
He can't.
some silly reason you people want to assassinate him, and it's just rubbish. You people. All of you. All of you. I'm going to crack jokes all year, mate. I'm going to do it. I did it. Goddard was a good call. I don't know whose idea it was. It was mine. I didn't have a snooze, and I wanted to have a snooze. I don't know what to say, really.
What will Dangerfield do to Geelong?
I could start Mark. Sellers wouldn't have any players playing in his team if he was coach. Drop them all. He doesn't drop them all. He's had a busted knacker this year, hasn't he? But everyone's like, hey, Bubba! Oh.
Where are you looking?
Well, you asking a question to me?
The Bomber Diaries, a themed edition this week. Bomber, welcome.
Yes, Jared.
Brian.
Robo.
If there's anyone else
for you.
What happened?
It's good. 2 weeks. You turn up to work 2 weeks.
Oh, come on, Chief.
If there's anyone else who could do the diaries, it would be Ross. So we've taken our inspiration from Ross, from the post-match, from the couch interview and from the press conference today. Each of your questions will have a visual clue. This is Ross on Sunday night.
To be honest, I thought, well, this smells a bit. This smells early. I was like,
Do the Dockers smell a bit?
What do they smell like? When you lose, it smells like poo? Is it? What do you smell like? Smell off.
They're on the nose.
On the nose.
They're on the nose. Yeah. That's what it means. Are they on the nose?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, they've lost 4 in a row.
They've had a slow start, haven't they?
But it's hard to gather that energy, isn't it?
Yeah, what's more important now, the draw. The draw at the start of the season is really important. If you get an easy run, like some clubs have, the 2 easy runs that Gold Coast have had, not last year, but the year before and this year, winning games, and they're up and about.
Belief.
Yeah. Early
makes it easier for the coach.
Yep.
So they stink.
Coaches relax.
So you said Dockers stink, right? That's the headline.
Oh, it's not a headline. We both said they've got off to a slow
You're
start.
a premiership coach. Dockers stink.
I'm just agreeing with their coach.
Bomber.
I'm just agreeing with Ross.
All right. Well,
Ross watches the show occasionally, despite his indifference to some members of the panel.
The next is the art of coaching.
I know I'm at my best when I'm under pressure and losing. I'm more balanced. I'm a bit of a lunatic when all we do is win.
You were at your best when Geelong were losing, weren't you?
No.
Oh,
I reckon I was at my best when we were winning.
Right.
You're happy.
I feel better about it, about life, about footy, about everything.
Kicking back, drinking a milkshake, eating a salad sandwich. That's how you enjoyed winning. What does he mean by that?
I don't know. But I think probably every now and then if you had a loss, it would just correct things because it puts people back refocused, back at the starting blocks. But losing 4 in a row, I don't think he'd be that happy about. I don't think he'd be getting too many positives and feeling that great about.
What was the
his year so far?
What was the longest run of losing games that you have at Geelong?
Oh, he'd probably tell him more than me. Probably 4.
There were losses.
Yeah, I'm going to say early.
In 2006 when that was.
I wasn't a great coach at the whole.
You would have been a grumpy. You would have been a grump.
There is an element of problem solving, isn't there, for the coach in losing, which I imagine sort of for the intellectual side of footy would be quite stimulating.
I think if you have if you don't have great games though, there's so much you have to fix up, and generally the best thing to do is just to go back to the basics. Start winning the ball again, start putting some pressure on, and then you can develop a game. Because if you can't fix everything when you go.
What do coaches always say when they're losing? We're going to go back to basics. Why aren't they doing the basics in the first place and then say we're going to go back to basics? They overthink the game.
Oh yeah, they do nowadays, don't they? Not when I was
I
coaching.
don't know. I mean, that's a really interesting question, though.
Well, it's a very tactical game now, isn't it? And I never ever thought tactics would win games of footy. I just thought the basics would. You know, good defence, good attack. You know, get people
beat 1-on-1, 2-on-1,
if you need to
3-on-2.
be. Yep. Just and that's how I coached them.
All right.
Rossi's trying to kick more goals. He's actually having a bit of an adjustment.
Okay. The serious side of things today with Ross Lyon's press conference.
This period will define us in a sense that we're working through some challenges, and it's how you respond. And if you're a senior player, your legacy is how you inspire young players when things are tough to work through and come out the other side. And that's the same as a senior coach in my coaching group.
So how important is the senior group, both coaches and players, in what to do next?
Well, I think that he's got to get something out of the year. If they don't make finals, and they probably still will, I think that you'll still get them there. they've got to come out with some players out of this year. The players are coming in, there's players going out. Now, the ones going out are usually good players that have been running the club, being the core of the team. You've got to get players coming up through the other end, and that's what he needs to find, a couple of key position players, don't they? They need forwards, tall forwards and tall backs. Because
got one in Pearce, but they certainly need some tall forwards.
Yeah, they do.
And they probably need, Johnson's old, he's a 30, he's only got a couple left. Yeah, they've got some issues.
And it's a couple of on-ballers, so...
He knows that. They've got a couple, he haven't given them an opportunity, I reckon, as yet. No? He likes to hold them back.
Yeah, they've got to really earn their games, don't they?
And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as they're ready when they come in. But
then you see teams like St Kilda who are forced to play kids.
Yeah.
And it's exciting.
So when Hawthorn does, and James Sissy's been in the VFL for 2 years, people go, oh, great Hawthorn. Perfect, give him a grounding and then bring him in. Rossi doesn't bring in anyone. They go, come on, Ross, what are you doing? Bring in the kids. You don't play the kids. Tough world, football.
It is a tough world. That's why it's better to win.
It's nowhere tougher, surely, than the coach's box.
Yes.
Because you can't control or do it yourself, there's a level of frustration there, and sometimes it bubbles over, and it's a pretty intense environment. But sometimes you're better off getting rid of it in the box, so that when you go down to the players, you're okay.
Rant away behind closed doors.
Well, I don't know whether you should be doing it in public at all. They've probably got a camera in the coach's room now, have they? Nah.
Yeah, they've got cameras everywhere.
Oh, they've got cameras everywhere.
In the halftime room.
Rossi, you should never do it in front of the group, to the players. But you shouldn't do it to your coaching staff either, because everyone's been an assistant coach at some stage, and no one really likes being talked to like that. The thing is, Rossi turns his staff over, doesn't he? So he's actually retraining staff. So imagine if, you got, who did you have last year? The guy, the captain from Sydney.
Brett Kirk.
Kirky went home to Sydney.
Train him up, going well. He's on his way. He doesn't have to really coach him, work him. Doesn't have to, look over him. And then all of a sudden, see you later, coach. I'm off, and get a new one in there. And he just says the wrong things every now and then. And he's obviously the centre bouncer's concern for Ross, isn't it? Whoever came up with that plan's in trouble.
All right, see you later, coach. You're off.
Well done, Bob.
Bomber Thompson analysing Ross Lyon in the diaries this week. Coming up next, Cam Smith. A few similarities here, the AFL and the NRL, how to break a tie, along with the love of Hawthorn. On Wednesday night from Twitter, we get the most tweeted moments from round 4 at number 3. Not surprisingly, the shocking mismatch of Stephen May into Stefan Martin, which went around the world. It was unders at 3. Wait till you see what's at 2.
Right, almighty, yep.
Just a little pop on the beak. At 2,
Friday night footy.
Friday night traffic.
Friday night
major
footy.
traffic on Twitter. They cost Scott Lysette a week when his moment of judgment came. But the number one, the most tweeted about moment across the weekend, and it had to be the superb climax to a classic encounter at the Adelaide Oval, and none other than Eddie Betts to seal the deal and
good,
send
isn't it?
Twitter into a frenzy.
Did you watch that? Oh, that was an amazing game. You haven't even been introduced yet.
Righto, let's get into it.
So,
Melbourne
yeah.
Storm captain Cam Smith is with Cam. Welcome back to AFL 360.
Thank you, boys. Great to be back.
Robbo,
you well?
Don't talk to me. Don't look at me. Don't touch me. Oh no, I love it when you come in, mate, because you're the best player in the world at a stage, and
Thank you.
Footy's footy, whatever you play, AFL or Storm, and it's great. And you're going for another campaign.
Yeah.
How's it going? How's it started?
Well, it started okay without playing.
Not great.
Overly well. No, we're 5-2, which is not a bad start of the year. Sort of 7 weeks in. There's only one other team in our competition.
Sorry, I thought it was 4-2. I'll take that back.
Got a better record, Robbo, which is the Broncos. They're 6-1 at the moment, so we're sitting in a pretty good position. And sort of once everything clicks for us, I think we'll be okay. We've been hit by a lot of injuries this year to some key members of our team. Obviously, Billy Slater being the big one. Will Chambers went down only 2 weeks ago, broken ankle. He's out for up to 3 months, which is a huge blow for us. He's in very good form, one of the best centres in the competition. But we've got some young kids coming in doing a good job.
You'll be going to the AFL on Friday night. Last night in that chair, Sean Burgoyne sat ahead of his 300th game, and you and he have struck up quite the friendship. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, introduced to Sean a few years ago, and quite similar past that we've built. Obviously Sean coming from South Australia and myself from Queensland and moving here. Both young families with some small kids that we're trying to juggle with sort of the footy career, but. Look, I get to a fair few Hawks games and watch him play, and he and his family and a few of the Hawks boys come to the Storm matches, so we have struck up a bit of a friendship there. But look, it's a huge occasion. 300 matches in any elite sport is a pretty special achievement.
How you going? I asked you off air, you're 32, and that's round about traditionally when the body starts creaking and starts saying this is getting harder.
Starts to.
How long has it been going?
A while ago.
But is your body, is it better than what you thought it would be at 32? Do you envisage playing to 35? The sports science in AFL is allowing players like Burgoyne to play pretty high-level football for much longer?
Oh, look, there's no doubt that the sports science aspect of any sport has improved hugely over the time that I've been involved in the game, over my career. I've been involved now for nearly 15 years. When I first started, Ice Baths was just in an iron tub out the back of the shed.
That was the most brilliant idea ever.
That was it. That was the way.
Ice baths. They're doing ice baths over there.
So, but I never really set out to play a certain amount of matches or play until a certain age. At the moment, I feel really good within myself. I've got this year plus another 2 with the Melbourne Storm contracted. So I'm going to do my very best to see that out and try to play the very best I can.
Do you critique yourself harder now than what you did 5 years ago? Wary that if things are starting to perhaps fall, I'm not saying they are.
Yeah.
But are you watching yourself closer than anyone?
Oh, I've always done that. Yeah, I've always tried to do that. Even from a young boy, even when I played just junior footy back in Queensland, I was always that way, and always expected the best out of myself every week. Not just during games, but it was at training as well. Obviously being a little bit smaller than most of the other boys, I've had to work extremely hard with my preparation for games, so that's always been a part of my build-up. But I've just tried to do the very best I can each week, mate.
Now this is topical, so we'll get your bona fides first on Golden Point. Let's have a look at what happened last Sunday night, the match involving Storm. So Rugby League has had the uniformity, which I think some of us are craving. So when the opportunity arrives, you just take the shot. Does under the post count?
Embarrassing. Some rookie mistake.
Leave it to the professionals, Cooper Cronk.
Yeah, he's done that a few times.
Yes. Have you scored a Golden Point winner?
I have, yeah. Yep. Yeah, against Manly. It's one in my entire career. and given my position that I play, it's sort of, it's quite hard, as you can see from that vision, to sort of get one away. But it's been a part of our game now for a long time.
Okay, so let's work one phase at a time. Extra time, is that essential? Get the result on the day?
I think it is now, Jared, yeah, absolutely. I think for the fans, I think a lot of people expect a result these days. Sort of when they're watching the game, they want some sort of result going either way. Talk to any footballer, I think they'd be happy with a draw. Like the other day, both teams hit heavily by injuries, both clubs, ourselves and the West Tigers, put in huge amounts of efforts for 80 minutes, and to finish with the Storm taking away 2 points, probably didn't deserve it. I think one each would have been fair enough.
Okay.
But as far as finals are concerned, you obviously need a winner.
Yep. Golden Point you have, and there's unrest around that. People want golden try, which is the same debate now happening in the AFL, is that a Golden Point shouldn't decide a grand final, we should demand a golden goal. Where do you sit on the point versus try?
Yeah, well, as far as the AFL is concerned, when I heard the news, I was a little bit sort of shocked as well. I thought a goal should be kicked to win a match. I think it's quite easy to score it behind. I think, say there's a centre bounce, a team gets a clearance, someone just has to ping at the goals and it's a behind, you win a grand final on that. Or a rush. No
one's going to rush it.
Well,
he won't get out of the ground alive if someone rushes it.
But if someone,
yourself.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If you get, what if someone goes up to belt it in a group of blokes and comes off your hand the wrong way, goes behind, game's over.
Yeah.
So I think I believe a goal should be kicked. And as far as our game's concerned, I'd like to see ours sort of tinkered with a little bit too, because you see...
Try.
Yeah, I think in Golden Point, you see now, like in our game, there was if you get 40 metres out from our goalpost, someone's just having a crack at goal.
Yeah, they are.
And it becomes a shootout. I think you'd like to see 4 points scored.
You're playing the traditional Anzac night clash against the Warriors, so there's the chance to go to the MCG and walk across the road and be part of it with the Storm.
Yeah, we were talking about this just before, weren't we, Robbo?
Yeah.
Huge day in Melbourne.
Oh, it's
Monday.
great.
Yeah, it is. Good luck with it.
Thank you.
And thanks for dropping by again on AFL 360. We will continue to chat. You go to Winners Rebooted with Drew Morfitts.
That's the end of the show.